Oh, okay, so I did see a rumble problem. Hmm. Now, trying to find the live. And this should be the live stream. I don't know why it's not doing it. Huh. Well, that is extremely disconcerting. That's kind of weird. Well, Well, I don't know what's going on with Rumble. That's extremely odd. That Rumble, for whatever reason, is not wanting to work. I don't know. Is Facebook working okay? Everybody good with Facebook? Everybody good with that, I guess? Wait, where'd my cursor? Let's see if I can. Okay, so I can see those guys. Let's go over to Facebook real quick. All right, well, obviously I'm not going to be able to see the chat because everybody's jumping all over the place. Well, let me see. Maybe I can see it over here. Let me see what the chat can show. Okay, Facebook is doing good. Yes, Facebook works. Just logged on here at Facebook. Me too. Okay. All righty. Well, then we're just going to go with that. I'm just going to go with Facebook, I guess. All right. Sorry about the Rumble problems. That was very, very odd. All right. Well, let's go ahead and kind of get things kicked off here. I don't care. All right. The preview's all messed up. So anyway, okay. All right, so you guys will have to forgive me because I may not be able to see all your chats and everything going on because I'm going to be bouncing around, and obviously my normal chat conglomeration operation doesn't work. But let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight is Nana of JJS for tonight's pledge. So if you are of mind, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me, place your hand over your heart, and follow along with Nana as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And thank you, Nana, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email. Send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I'll get you into the rotation. And if you use your phone, you can utilize the share option. That's the S-H-A-R-E option to send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. All right, tonight's headline sponsor, as soon as I can get it up here. As I said, you guys, this is a new technology treat for you. And that would be why I was having problem. Okay. Gotta love this. Give me just a second. Alrighty. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. I was right here. Whoops. Right. Come on. There we go. Okay. Tonight is the Institute on the Constitution. Now, the Institute on the Constitution is a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education from a biblical worldview. They request, or they recommend, I should say, 3 action steps. Step 1 is to pray. Never forget to pray for your country again. Step 2 is to study. We'll get to that in just a minute. Step 3 is to act. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. But first, if you want to pray with them, come on down here to the bottom of the page. Take a look at that, Healing Our Land Prayer Campaign. You click on that link and you'll be able to sign up for a daily prayer sent to you every single morning so you can pray with them. Now, let's go to the study part of the Institute on the Constitution. And we come here and we start off with the Institute on the Constitution's 100%. Why would you want me to log in? That's weird. Let's go back. Here, let's go here. There we go. So we go to study, and what you're going to do is you're going to sign up for their 100% online free constitutional course. And what you can do is you come here and you enter your first name, last name, email address, and you press Get Lesson 1 free, and they'll email it directly to you every single week. It's 100% online, 100% free. There's 12 lessons. They're 15 to 20 minutes long. and you'll be able to get one every week and go through their entire course to learn about the United States Constitution. Now, that also falls into part of their ACT portion, which when you ACT, you can go and take a class, you can explore their live classes, you can become a member, or better yet, become an instructor. Oh, yeah, we just got an Amber Alert. How do you like that? Anyway, you can go and take a look at their instructor and become a certified instructor. They have 4 separate instructor levels. You can go and look at this video that's right here in the top 10, how to become an instructor. You can also look at 5 tips for a successful class, which is another video that they put out to help you become the best instructor that you possibly can be. And then the last thing that you can do is go up here to the shop. See this red button right up here at the top upper corner. Let me see if I can, nope, can't zoom in, but it's up here in the upper left-hand corner of my screen. You can see it, there it is, right there. You can go and click that, and you'll be taken over to their shop page, and you can go and check out their shop. So you can check out all of their course material, their other educational resources, self-evident apparel, the instructor materials, of course, if you want, and my personal favorite, the Legacy Library. Click on that Legacy Library, and you come up to many different products that are all wrapped in leather, but this one right here in the middle of the page, right here, this is my personal favorite. By the way, I have it. It's very travel friendly because it's right here in my hot little hands. And what you can do is you can go and get this book by going to that Legacy Library. And once you are there, take a look at this wonderful, sexy rounded corner book. It's got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. It is stitched all the way through the binding and the pages that are contained within. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if you have a problem with this, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. And my youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to get your civics badge in Scouts, as well as your civics exam, if they still have those, not to mention your naturalization test. Go to theamericanview.com. That's theamericanview.com, and you can get all of their information, their books, their, again, the apparel, and go into the Legacy Library and go and grab your pocket leather-bound U.S. Constitution today. That's theamericanview.com, and I do thank them for being a sponsor of the show. All right, and yes, my whiskey warriors all tell me that all the numerals are in ascending numerical order. And also, apparently, getting the Constitution, Buddy Billy and the gang is better constitutionally than Willie Whalen and the gang. Show your papers, show the pocket Constitution. That was contributed by G. I've got some creative folks out there. All right. Well, tonight I am drinking out of this right here, the Jameson. That's right. I stepped back to my roots in the whiskey drinking. There it is. And it is in a different glass, of course, but it's right here. I put a little ice in there to cool it off, and the ice is already melting because I'm in the freaking hellhole of Arizona. Anyway. There we go. Little programming note. If you hear some sounds running around the reason being is because there's a little four-legged going in and out and doing her little thing and everything else. And well, you'll get to see her because she will be the pet of the week on Wednesday. So hopefully we'll have Rumble all figured out by then. But anyway, all right, let's go ahead and get right into it. I do not have a on this day in American history, because obviously my book is back at the studio. So you're going to have to forgive me for that one, but we'll catch up again once I get back into the studio. So first of all, let's go, and I want to show this video. Actually, no, I don't want to show that video. Correction. Or was I? Like I said, things are a little discombobulated here. Let me see. Oh, okay. So John Fetterman. John Fetterman is, well, let's just say he is, he's no longer a real Democrat. What's the best way for me to describe him? I don't know, but I got to tell you, that guy, whew. Anyway, he wrote an op-ed. That's the opinion editorial for those that don't know. But anyway, he wrote an op-ed piece in the Washington Post Thursday, and he defended his record and was criticizing parts of the Democrat Party. He was arguing that Democrats have actually moved away from positions he said were once mainstream within the party, and insisting that his own values have remained consistent. In the piece, which is titled, by the way, I Have Changed, Here's What I Haven't Changed, Here's What Has, Fetterman wrote that, quote, working across the aisle is the only way forward, and said that he remains committed to serving all Pennsylvanians regardless of party affiliate. The Pennsylvania Democrat pointed to his bipartisan work on border security, government funding, Israel, infrastructure, and social programs, while rejecting calls for ideological conformity inside the Democrat Party. Now, Fetterman wrote that he first entered politics after winning a mayoral race in Braddock, Pennsylvania, by a single vote. A single vote. He argued that Democrats have increasingly become defined by opposition to President Trump, writing, "My party can't simply be the opposite of whatever President Trump says." Fetterman added that pointless pile-ons and attacks are unproductive, and said that voters want lawmakers to work together to find solutions. On immigration, Fetterman said that he supported a 2024 border bill, saying, quote, to make sure an influx the size of Pittsburgh doesn't come through the border like it did under the previous administration. He also highlighted support for legislation targeting fentanyl trafficking, and noted that he served as lead Democrat on the Laken Riley Act. Fetterman wrote, someone who comes here illegally and commits a violent crime should be deported, full stop. Now, I swear, John Fetterman, for whatever reason, ran as a Democrat, but he's sounding more and more like a Republican every day. Oh, I think he should maybe switch parties. Just saying. All right. Well, let's move on to redistricting. Now, you recall here just on yesterday, the Virginia State Supreme Court went ahead and invalidated the vote. Didn't invalidate the maps, but invalidated the vote that would have created that 10-to-1 district, 10 Democrats to 1 Republican district in Virginia. Now, again, just to be clear, they did not eliminate the map, they eliminated the process. And so as far as the process is concerned, the process was invalidated because it didn't follow the rules and the Constitution, et cetera, et cetera. Well, apparently, according to this piece in Newsmax, the Virginia Dems are signaling that they're not done yet, meaning that they are getting ready, and they vowed yesterday to continue pursuing new congressional maps after the bruising defeat at the state Supreme Court invalidated the voting redistricting plan that party leaders believed could help flip the House in 2026. Reuters, Axios, and other outlets reported that the Virginia Supreme Court ruled 4-3 to strike down the constitutional amendment approved by voters last month that would have temporarily allowed the Democratic-controlled General Assembly to redraw the congressional districts ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. Reuters reported the proposed map was expected to heavily favor Democrats and potentially deliver up to 4 additional seats in a narrowly divided chamber. Now, all of that being the case, the Washington Examiner reported that Virginia Democrats are considering additional legal and political options, including possible federal appeals and renewed legislative action, while outside groups continue urging Democrats nationally to counter the Republican-backed maps in other states. Now, that being said, there are some challenges coming in. And obviously, this is all because they thought that they had Virginia locked up. And they also thought that the California redistricting was going to, again, balance the scale because of Texas. Well, there's actually a question with regards to that as well, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Now, you'll also remember in response to Virginia, Tennessee went ahead and did their redistricting. They did it after the SCOTUS approved, or basically disapproved, I should say, disallowed Louisiana's map. And the reason why they were disallowing Louisiana's was because Louisiana's map originally had only one black district, majority black district, drawn for it. That was taken to court. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court basically said, well, that second district that was created by the lower courts for the second majority black district, well, that's unconstitutional. It is against the Constitution to utilize race as the criteria under the Voting Rights Act. That Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act was actually designed and intended to only counter districts that were specifically created in order to suppress any particular race's vote. So because of that, Louisiana obviously is going back, and we've got a piece about that here in a second, but Louisiana is going back and trying to redraw their maps. Tennessee said, well, shoot, we have one majority black district that was forced down our throats, so we're going to go ahead and redistrict that and get rid of that majority black district, which was the single lone Democrat who was a white old man representation. But that doesn't matter, right? Anyway, well, the legal challenges have come in for the Tennessee district. That sole Democratic district is now the NAACP chapter of Tennessee, and others have voted to, have vowed, I should say, legal fights after the Republicans went and split that district and turned it into, basically split it and put it connected with other districts. So in this piece in the Epoch Times, the chapters, Tennessee chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, filed suit, and others hinted at further legal challenges on May 7th over Tennessee's newly enacted congressional map, which redraws Memphis into 3 districts and ends what had been the state's only majority black and its only Democrat held congressional seat. Now, again, that district, and this, I swear, this explains 100% how ridiculous it is for us to use race in redistricting, because of the fact that the guy that is representing that district is an old white guy that has been there for 20 years. So if you sit here and say, well, the purpose of having majority black districts is to ensure black representation in Congress, and you have the black voters in that majority black district voting for a white man, then maybe race doesn't come into the equation that much. And maybe, just maybe, we should erase the idea of race in redistricting. Because let's face it, it's really not a criteria that is specific to how somebody votes. As we've seen with a whole bunch of people, such as Wesley Hunt out of Texas, he is in a majority white district, and he has been voted in not because of the color of the skin, but because of his ability to do the job, to do it well, and to do it in the way that represents the people in that district in Texas. All right. So the suit, the state chapter and its president, Gloria Sweet Love, claims the state and Republican Governor Bill Lee engaged in an unlawful, late-decade congressional redistricting in violation of clear and unambiguous Tennessee statutory law and mandates of the Tennessee Constitution. So they're basically using the same legal tactic that Virginia did, and that actually won in Virginia. Now, I don't know enough about the Tennessee state constitution to know whether or not this is true, but again, it's a legal challenge, and we're going to have to see what happens with it. All right. Well, Alabama is hoping to preempt a lot of this, because Alabama has now gone and asked the U.S. Supreme Court on May 8th to go ahead and clear the way for the state to redraw its congressional election map to comply with the court's landmark ruling limiting the use of race in redistricting. The requests came the same day as Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, who's a Republican, signed legislation authorizing a new primary election in anticipation of a favorable court ruling in the state's ongoing redistricting litigations. Now, the May 19th primary in Alabama will still take place, Ivey did say in a statement. But if the injunctions are lifted on Alabama's redistricting case, she may call for a special election for certain state Senate and congressional districts where boundary lines would change as a result of a reversion to the older district maps. So remember, a lot of the redistricting challenges that you've had, I mean, we had, I think it was Utah or Nevada, I can't remember, but they were challenged by the Biden DOJ. We had Texas, which was challenged by the Biden DOJ. That's the court case that actually spurred the redistricting within Texas. So a lot of these, even though the Democrats and the leftists will sit there and tell you, well, we're not the ones that are doing this. This is all due to the Republicans. No, it's actually in response to Biden DOJ lawsuits in an attempt to utilize the Voting Rights Act of Section 2 in order to redistrict and, of course, gain more power. So, anyway, we also have down in Louisiana. Now, Louisiana versus Calais obviously was the SCOTUS case. And that was the case that the SCOTUS essentially said, yeah, you can't use Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act to specifically create majority race-based districts. So Louisiana obviously has to redraw their maps. Now, what they are doing, and they heard public testimony yesterday on several proposed congressional maps, including the following: one with 2 majority black districts, one with no majority black districts, and 2 with only 1 majority black district. The legislature is expected to vote on the maps next week. Now, State Democratic Representative C. Denise Marcel, who represents Baton Rouge, said the legal challenges are already prepared for any map that does not include 2 majority black districts. The meeting itself reportedly was tense from the start, according to this piece in Just the News. The committee recessed twice. 2 lawmakers actually got into a shouting match. Protesters filled the hallways, chanting familiar slogans like "No justice, no peace." State GOP Senator Caleb Kinepeter, wow, that's a jumble of letters. Anyway, who chairs the committee responsible for redrawing the congressional map, was aware that the hearing could bring strong emotions. A line formed outside the Capitol long before the meeting began. 2 older black men sang "This Little Light of Mine." Kinepeter told reporters he was prepared to adjourn the meeting if the audience disrupted the proceedings. He said, "I don't want to be on national television." He was referencing Tennessee, by the way, where the lawmakers really had a problem with the new map. Protesters inside and outside the Tennessee Capitol, of course, tried to shout over the proceedings, prompting the House and Senate leaders to pause the process at times, according to the Center Square's Tennessee Bureau. Now, the Louisiana map with 2 majority black districts was authorized by Democrat Senator Ed Price. It could or would create majority black districts in the 2nd and 5th congressional districts. The committee spent about an hour hearing testimony on that proposal, including from U.S. Democrat Representative Troy Carter, who represents the 2nd district. The map would not preserve U.S. Representative Cleo Field's current district. Former U.S. Representative William Jefferson said, "My appeal today is for us to call on the better angels of our nature." Now, Democrats are facing a changed legal landscape after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Louisiana's original maps and the current one, which included 2 majority black districts. So this is where it's continuing. I mean, everything is continuing. So we'll have to see what's going to happen moving forward with all of these legal challenges. Well, here in Town Hall, there's apparently a senator in California who actually believes that the courts could overturn California's congressional map. Now, you'll recall that California was redistricted under the urging of Gavin Newsom. I know it's Newsom, but Newsom, hair gel himself. Anyway, it was under his urging, and they bypassed their constitution, their state constitution, which basically said that they can only redistrict if there was a new census count. And we know this is mid-census, so there were some questions on that. But it made it onto the ballot. It was under Prop 50. It did win a majority of the votes and got put into play. Now, that being said, this senator thinks that there is a possibility that this could get turned over. Now, let me see if I can find here. Do I have that? I do not. Okay, so I don't have it here. All right. So Democrats, of course, are on the back foot because of Virginia's new constitutional or new congressional map being declared unconstitutional. Democrats are well on the back foot in the fight to gain seats ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. We know that they want to get those because they want to stop Donald Trump and they want to stop the Republicans from actually correcting the ship here and getting things done. Now, Senator Eric Schmidt has put out a play to take out California's radical map. And that itself has moved forward. So Schmidt is arguing that the Independence Commission was subverted by Governor Gavin Newsom. And that's another thing, is that the California, they put on the ballot about 10 years ago that California was going to hand over their redistricting over to an independent commission rather than having the legislature take it on, which is essentially also what Virginia had done as well. Many states actually have done that. But anyway, where was I at here? Sorry, I lost my place. But anyway, so Eric Schmidt has put together a legal case, and he is basically saying that, and he has even provided clear evidence to prove that the new map is actually racially biased. And the map maker himself was gloating on social media, and Eric Schmidt grabbed that. And was the map maker himself was on social media declaring that the new map had increased Latino voting power and that it would produce one more Latino influenced district. Now, that map drawer of the California map, saying that in public, that provides a good case that this could go to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court might rule in the same fashion that they did under the Louisiana map. Anyway, if California were to lose its new map, the totality of all the Democrat redistricting efforts would result in only a single pickup, whereas Republicans have managed to add an astounding 17 safe districts through their rapid redraws following Virginia's decision to produce a new produce the now unconstitutional map. Anyway, so again, the Democrats are losing sight of the redistricting to save their butts in 2026 and 2028. All right. Well, because of all this fighting and redistricting and everything else, Senator Rick Scott of Florida, he has decided that, hey, we must pass the SAVE Act, and he is requesting to do so. Well, let's see if we can get this to play. And here we are again. Hang on just a second. It's because my phone's going to sleep. That's why. And here we go. Oops. There we go.
I got to get, Senator, your reaction to what in Trump's words he called a love tap on Iran. Of course, the recent clashes in the Strait of Hormuz that threatened the ceasefire.
Oh.
I really am just questioning whether Iran just wants to kick the can down the road, or they're really serious about negotiating.
Well, you have to assume they're not serious. But you have to take Trump seriously. I mean, this is a guy that I would not want to be on the opposite side of. So he's done the right thing.
My apologies. I thought that was on the SAVE Act. Here you can see in Newsmax, he goes, he told Newsmax on Friday that the Senate Republicans should force a talking filibuster in order to get the SAVE Act passed, arguing that the legislation has overwhelmingly public support, which it does, and 83% of Americans, that includes 71% of Democrats, all believe that having ID is important to securing our elections. Now, during an appearance on Wake Up America, Scott said that Republicans will return to Washington next week focused on advancing several major priorities, including reconciliation legislation, funding U.S. immigration and customs enforcement and customs and border protection, which, by the way, are still unfunded, and reforming FISA surveillance authorities, and also confirming President Donald Trump's nominees. He also talked about a plan to renew their push for the Save America Act, which would require proof of citizenship and voter identification standards in federal elections. So these are all things, they're all good things, but they're all things that are coming down mostly because of the whole redistricting scenario. Well, I mean, the SAVE Act has been around for a while, but keep the continual push to make it and get it through, blocking the filibuster or demolishing the filibuster and getting it through is really obviously coming to the forefront. Well, just when you think tax season itself has been, good, bad, or indifferent, however you want to take it, apparently this piece in the National Pulse, oh, folks, they really like the non-citizens. So apparently the Internal Revenue Service paid $213 million in earned income tax credits to foreign citizens with non-work Social Security numbers. You recall how the Democrats keep talking about how, non-citizens, they're not on Medicaid, they're not on Medicare, they're not getting welfare benefits, they're not getting Social Security benefits. But yet we all know that in order to work in the United States, you have to have a Social Security number. So Social Security has created these numbers that are supposed to be, well, this is a non-citizen, and it's supposed to be identifiable. Well, that apparently isn't the case, because now the Internal Revenue Service has paid out all this money. Let's see. They paid out to the foreign citizens that amount between 2023 and 2024, according to a report from the agency's Inspector General. Now, the numbers that are not supposed to do this, but were issued for limited purposes, such as accessing services and not intended for work eligibility or tax credit claims. The report said that the IRS lacks sufficient data from the Social Security Administration to determine whether certain non-work Social Security numbers were issued, limiting the agency's ability to automatically block improper claims. Investigators found the IRS identified around 12,600 suspicious returns through risk-based screening and manually reviewed roughly 5,100 of them, which prevented nearly 11 million in improper payments. Auditors said that the IRS's current system relies heavily on manual reviews and cannot efficiently detect all ineligible claims because the agency does not receive complete information from the Social Security Administration about whether the Social Security numbers were issued solely for federal benefits, which would disqualify recipients from claiming the credit. The watchdog report also noted that refundable tax credits remain highly vulnerable to fraud, with the earned income tax credit alone generating an estimated $21.1 billion, with a B, billion dollars in improper payouts for fiscal year 2025. Well, folks, I mean, we all know that the government doesn't do a very good job policing itself. We also know that they have a hard time communicating between agencies. And this apparently is a part of it. Now, I understand many people are like, oh, well, you know, that's not really all that much when you're talking trillions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. But the fact is that every single drop in the bucket does count. And that we need to be a lot more fiscally responsible with our money, meaning taxpayer money, within the government system. And that was what the whole idea of Doge and the now fraud task force that J.D. Vance is heading up, that's what this is all about. And we're trying to get that, obviously, we're trying to get a lot of this under control because, let's be honest, the government borrows money in order to function. We currently are unable to pay all of those loans back within a single year with just the federal tax revenue that we're bringing in. So what ends up happening, which this is what a lot of people don't seem to understand, is that those loans continually roll over and roll over and roll over, causing us to pay more in interest payments over the course of the many, many years that these loans have been in existence. We got to get more fiscally responsible. We're $37 trillion in debt right now. And I understand it's, you know, a very big job to try and get this cleared up. But the reality of it is to sit there and say, well, it's already gone, who cares? Yeah, that doesn't work. And that's going to cause America itself to eventually get to a point, regardless of what everybody thinks, it's going to get us to a point where we are no longer going to be able to sustain the bleeding, quote unquote. All right. Let me run over to Facebook really quick and see if everybody's doing well in the chat. I think I've lost the chat there. Let's try over here. There we go. Okay. And okay. All right. Let's see. What's my next one? Well, things are heating up over in Iran. And let's face it, it's not surprising. It really isn't. I mean, the Iranians, they honestly, they don't want peace. They want nothing to do with peace. They want nothing to do with peace with America. Well, America is going to push them into peace, mainly just because of the fact that, well, when you have tankers that attempt to run the blockade, this might be, here we go. Okay. Broke again. Hold on. 1 second. Okay. You have tankers that run the blockade, and they are subjected to this. I wonder what happened there. Now, this is a unclassified video from the Department of the Defense where there are two ships that the U.S. military disabled. One of them being, let's see, the MV or the MTC Star 3, and the other one is the, which one is it? The MT Saveda. Oh, it's gotta suck to be Iranian right now when it comes to this. So anyway, U.S. Central Command enforced blockade measures. This is according to a statement. So U.S. Central Command enforced blockade measures against 2 Iranian-flagged Uniladen oil tankers attempting to pull into an Iranian port in the Gulf of Oman. A U.S. Navy FA-18 Super Hornet from George H.W. Bush, which was CVN-77, disabled both tankers after firing precision munitions into their smokestacks, preventing the non-compliant ships from entering Iran. The U.S. forces also disabled Iranian-flagged MT Hansa on May 6th as it attempted to sail to an Iranian port on the Gulf of Oman. An FA-18 Super Hornet from the USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, disabled the uniladen or unladen oil tankers rudder by firing several rounds with its 20 millimeter cannon gun, 20 millimeter. It must really stink to be Iranian right now when it comes to, or an Iranian oil tanker, I should say. Well, satellite pictures have now shown what they believe to be a suspected oil spill. I guess we really shouldn't have expected that it wouldn't have taken. Have expected it to show up a lot earlier than this, but a suspected oil spill covered dozens of square kilometers of sea near Iran's main oil hub of Karg Island and has been seen on satellite imagery this week. The likely spill, appearing on the images as a gray-white slick, covered waters to the west of the 8-kilometer, 5-mile Long Island Pictures from the Copernicus Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, and Sentinel-3 satellites showed on May 6th through 8th. The slick appears to be visually consistent with oil, said Leon Moreland, a researcher at the Conflict and Environment Observatory, who estimated that it was covering an area approximately 45 square kilometers. Louis Goddard, who is a co-founder of consultancy Data Desk, which focuses on climate and commodities, agreed that the images likely showed an oil slick, which he said was potentially the largest to occur since the start of the US-Iran conflict 70 days ago. The U.S. military and Iran's mission to the United Nations in Geneva did not immediately respond to the request for comments on the images. The cause of the oil spill and point of origin are currently unknown, Moreland added, noting that the images from May 8th showed no evidence of additional active spills. Now keep in mind, Iran has been having problems storing oil. They've been putting oil in long abandoned oil tanks and oil tankers in an attempt to hang on to the oil that they've been pumping out. And we know all of this. So where this oil may have come from, it could have come from any number of sources. But don't be surprised if the Dems start saying that that is an environmental disaster that has been caused by the Trump administration's attacking of Iran. So, let's see. Okay. Well, okay. It looks like we're going to be a little short of. I apologize for the technological challenges. We'll try and get those cleaned up. Programming note, Monday will be no show. And that is because I have a private engagement that I need to take care of at that time. So, no show on Monday. We'll be returning on Tuesday, hopefully everything willing, at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. You guys have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.